Hey guys, it's getting a little dark, so I hope the light's good enough for this video. I've gotten a lot of questions over the last month or so from a lot of different sources, from my Amazon channel and also a couple of other platforms I'm on dealing with other things besides Amazon. And the questions involve uh, income streams, and as I've said on this channel, I I've been involved in business since I was in my late teens. I owned rental property from a very early age, rental houses. I got tired of dealing with the hassles that come with rental houses, or I should say, not the hassles so much as the dispersed nature of rental houses, where you have houses spread out over, an entire city. Uh, and also just got tired of the people. Uh, so I decided if I'm going to have the headaches of owning rental property, I want to consolidate the rental property. So I sold off my houses over a period of several years and reinvested that money into multifamily housing, apartments specifically. At least that way all my headaches were at one location and I wasn't running around town. And over the years, I've tried just about everything looking for a reasonably passive uh, revenue stream. I haven't found one that's completely passive yet, but I went from apartments, which I still own some apartments, but went from apartments into storage units, and that looks like it's passive on the surface, but honestly, that was one of the biggest headaches I've ever had. And I had a couple of storage facilities with a total of about 400 or so storage units, and uh, it was actually worse than owning the rental property itself, in my opinion. Uh, it made money, but it was just a pain in the butt. There are a lot of regulations involved with owning storage units and how you have to treat people that don't pay and things of that nature. So, uh, anyway, I've had a bunch of other business ventures that were definitely not passive, required a lot of time and effort. And a few years ago, I don't know where the idea came from, but I decided to take a leap of faith, if you will. And I had that opportunity to get control of a, excuse me, ate a bug. Had the opportunity to get uh, control of a piece of property that was in a pretty desirable location, but it was a pretty bad piece of property. And it was underneath power lines, and it just wasn't something that developers had snatched up. And I had an idea that wasn't going to cost a lot, and it was worth trying just to so I'd know for sure if it was going to work or not work. I was willing to take that investment, almost make a gamble. And what I did was I created a parking lot. Um, I've been in a situation where I've had to pay to park um, campers, cargo trailers, or vehicles that I could not otherwise have in my community. And in my area here in Central North Carolina, there are quite a few of these parking lots, and they always seem to be full. And I looked into it to see what parking spaces were renting for, and it seemed like an investment I was willing to take a chance on. So anyway, I bought this piece of land, or excuse me, I didn't buy it, I leased it, but I got a, a long lease with a bunch of renewals available to me. And so anyway, I converted that to a parking lot, and I put up signs, banners saying a parking facility was coming soon. And I had the parking lot was full about 2 months before I had the parking lot opened, and I've never had a vacancy in that lot, and that was my initial lot. Since then, I have kind of picked apart the idea. That first parking lot I made pretty nice. I spent some money, and I did a lot of things that I kind of was curious if I could do without. Uh, it was completely fenced in with a high fence. Had security cameras, had lighting that kept it lit up at night. So operating expenses there are not nothing because of the electricity I use, and the opening expenses to pay for the fencing, the electronic gate, and all the other things that went into opening it it added up. So, I mean, it was a great investment. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I would do it over again in a heartbeat. But I tend to pick things apart, and I want to find out what my minimum viable product is. In other words, how inexpensively can I open a parking facility and still have the kind of response I had on that one. So since then, I have actually turned into kind of a parking lot mogul. I've got 6 parking lots of various sizes. I've got 2 that are pretty substantial with about 200 slots. And these slots can be, well, they're large enough for a semi to park in. And I've got 4 other lots that range in size from, well, let me rephrase this. I have 4 other lots. 2 of them hold about 100 vehicles each, and 2 of them hold about 12 vehicles each, and those are specifically for semis. And those lots I was able to open with virtually no money at all. I mean, we're talking, less than a couple of $1,000s. So I recouped my full investment on those lots very, very quickly. Well, I've got another big one coming up, and that brings me to this field that you see right here behind me. I was out here the other day making a video. You may have seen it, and I said I'll explain to you, more about this field here. So the deal is this: I've been driving by this field on a fairly regular basis for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now, and I tracked down the owners of the field, and spoke to them a little bit. Didn't really get into what I was thinking, but I spoke to them a couple of years ago and expressed my desire to either buy a piece of the property. This is a huge piece of property. I don't know if you can see, but it goes way, way, way back. I'm not a farmer, but I mean, I know that this field is actually shaped like an old telephone handset. So it goes behind those houses that you may be able to see back in the distance, and then it curves back around and has more street frontage further down. I mean, so this field is probably close to a mile long. But anyway, I spoke to them about breaking off a piece and selling it to me, and they don't want to do that. And I understand why, because eventually this field, we're in an area where there is just massive housing construction taking place. Within a mile of where I'm standing right now, there is literally about 5,000 homes under construction, most of which will come on the market this year or early next year. This is a booming area, and has been for the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, this area is exploding. So anyway, I've kept in touch with these people, and a couple of months ago I ran into one of the family members that owns this property at a coffee shop, and we started talking, and he told me that, well, he asked me if I was still interested in possibly leasing a section of the property, and I told him I was, and we came up with some numbers pretty quickly, and I'm just throwing this out there because probably the reason I'm making this video is twofold. I want to answer the question about my other revenue streams. My money has been made off of Amazon, at least my money for the last 20 years. And Amazon's been really good to me. I've had money to invest. And, you invest differently at different points of life. If I were 20 years old, I would be putting all my money back in Amazon. My return on investment is staggering. But with that said, I'm at a point in life where I want to exercise a little bit of restraint and show just a little bit of respect for Father Time here. The day may come when I'm not able to work the way I work, or I don't want to work the way I work, and I want to have something that again offers me as close to a passive income as I can get, and the parking lots have worked out well. So anyway, the story behind this property is that they've been growing soybeans on it for as long as I've known the property existed. It's had soybeans on it every year. And those soybeans, I believe these again, I'm not a farmer, but I think these soybeans were primarily intended for silage or animal feed. And from what I understand, doing my research, soybean farming is a money pit. I don't know if it's possible to grow soybeans and do so profitably in the U.S. I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't know. I'm not saying it isn't or it isn't possible. I'm just saying I don't know. And I can tell you that after investigating, I have not found a soybean farmer who indicated that they were making money off the soybeans that they grew if they were just selling their soybeans on the open market. But if you'll remember, in January, I believe, or early February, U.S. AID was shuttered by the Trump administration. That was one of the first agencies they went after, and they shut it down. And that has left farmers all over the country in a really bad place. And it's not just USAID. There are other farm programs that I'm kind of wrapping up into one big bundle here. But anyway, these soybeans were grown, and these were purchased, by the government, or at least. And I apologize, I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know if the government bought these or the government just subsidized the production of this. But what would have been a losing endeavor for all these years growing soybeans to sell on the open market, with the government subsidies, it was slightly profitable. You probably would not have made a living off of growing all these soybeans in this big old field, but at least you paid the property taxes on it, waiting for the day when a developer is going to come along and offer you a check with a whole bunch of zeros on it. So that was kind of the game. Just make enough to cover expenses on the property. Well, with USAID being shuttered and other programs and contracts, I should say, that the government had already signed off on, farmers around the country are struggling. There were several different programs that were made available to farmers where if they would invest in their farm, buy new equipment and whatnot, once that equipment was purchased, the government would come in and offset some or all of that cost, of that expense. And Trump came in and canceled all those contracts, and it's left a lot of farmers in a situation where, for the first time, they have debt, or at least they have more debt than they've ever had. And we're going to see, really a cataclysmic failure in farms in this country over the next several years. We had that in the first Trump administration. It's hard to believe that you could do as much damage to an industry as he did in the first administration without it being done on purpose. And he's doing it all over again, only this time it's on steroids. And what I think we're going to see, in fact, I'm pretty darn sure of it, is that you're going to see farms all over the country going out of business, and you're going to see big money, private equity, or super high net worth individuals come in and snatch this property up and just hold on to it as an investment, and probably lease it back to the farmers, almost like sharecroppers. I mean, it seems like with every step we take forward, we're taking several steps back, and if we keep going long enough, we're going to end up back in 1865, and we're going to have sharecroppers all over the place. But anyway, almost went into a rant there. But the deal here is that we broke off 30 acres, and I can have pretty much any 30 acres I want as long as it's we both agree on it. We've already agreed on a price, but I'm taking 30 acres out here, and I'm going to convert this into a parking lot. And I haven't come up with my final design yet, but this thing is going to hold a bunch of vehicles. I mean, I'm going to have different size spaces. I'm going to have some spaces for cars, some for campers, and then some for semis. And you're talking about basically 25-foot spaces, 50-foot spaces, and 80-foot spaces. And then you have to have room for them to maneuver and pull through or back in, just depending on how the thing lays out. So I'm playing around with it. I can't tell you quite yet what my expected monthly income will be. But I've already got about 150 people that have expressed an interest in renting a space from me as soon as the lot's open. And I don't know, I think I've covered about all I want to cover, but I just wanted to tell you, this would never have come, it's kind of the circle of life. One person's loss is another person's gain. I'm paying them to rent about what the crop would have produced in terms of income on a per acre basis on an annual basis, plus some additional money. So basically they're making about double off this property what they would have made had they kept it in soybeans with the government subsidies. Without the government subsidies, they would have lost money. They would not have been profitable at all. But so, a door closed for them, a door opened for me, and I was in the right place at the right time. But, we're doing a lease because, again, rightfully so, somebody's going to come along in the next 5 years and offer them a pile of money. This is a beautiful piece of land. It's level. It's in a good location. And I understand completely that they don't want to sell it. And that's fine with me. But for 5 years, I'm going to squeeze it like a sponge and get a good amount of income out of this. I mean, my projections for this project, which I'll go into in detail on a later video, but my projections are that this is going to produce a lot of money. And my other lots are all full. I don't have a vacancy. When I do have a vacancy, I usually have somebody on the waiting list who wants to move in just as quickly as they possibly can, and bring their vehicle to park. And again, I've got it down to a point where my customers are not expecting an 8-foot chain link fence around the property. They're not expecting 24-hour-a-day lighting. I'm providing controlled access through a gate, an electronic gate with a keypad. I've got several properties or several lots that don't have any fencing around them at all other than just the gate. I will probably put some fencing on this lot, but probably just along the road frontage. I don't think I need to fence the entire thing in, but there's a lot of possibilities. I'll walk you through kind of the process, because there's some really interesting things you can do with this concept, and you can do it anywhere in the country. There is demand for parking spaces all around the country, because all the new communities that are being built, and most of the communities that have been built in the last 20 years, have restrictions about parking, like commercial vehicles, any vehicle that has like company lettering, RVs, boats, things of that nature are restricted in most new communities. So these people, if you're a plumber and you work for, some national chain, you can't park your work vehicle at home. You've got to park it somewhere else. So there's a tremendous amount of demand out here for it. And, it seems like I'm in the right place at the right time, and the opportunity presented itself. So, I'm not leaving Amazon, but I'm going to be out here standing in my field for a couple of months until I get this thing up and running. But anyway, it's getting dark. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. This is still an Amazon channel, believe it or not. But with all the tariffs and everything going on in the world right now, I've answered so many questions and have been responding to so many people, Amazon sellers that I've trained and Amazon sellers that just want to ask me questions. I'm just worn out over the last couple of days, and it's nice to have something like this behind me to kind of, relax me a little bit. And anyway, that's all I know. Appreciate you watching. Again, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.